Dr. Jose Almeida coming to you from Rip Gym with another video, uh, together with Yaxini Orquin, the my partner, the other co-owner of the gym. We want to bring this educational video series. This time I thought I'd just talk to you a little more and get some feedback. Maybe there's been a little too much science, so let's just talk a little more practical today, and we can do a little scientific explaining later. So we're talking about Rip Gym again. Um, and this is for a benefit for our members. So let me more a couple pet peeves of mine here. Talk about the pre-contest and what people do pre-contest is business of carbing up and then restricting fluids and even doing diuretics. So my main message is that the body likes homeostasis. The body likes to do things slowly. It needs to adapt. Just like emotionally, we need to adapt to major life events, so does the body. The body is 37 trillion cells, which is incomprehensible, trying to act harmoniously. There's a lot of things going on. So the notion that you can just carb up and fill the muscles with with glucose and carbs and make them full, and then take a diuretic and pee all the fluid off that you don't need, so you look hard and dry. I don't think the body's really going to behave like that. And when you're dehydrated and then start taking diuretics, it's dangerous and toxic to your kidneys. There are bodybuilders that have ended up in dialysis. There's also things that happen around contests, people with sudden death, and whether that's cardiac arrhythmias and sudden death or death related to fluid electrolyte abnormalities such as potassium, calcium. If these balances get upset, literally your heart will go into an arrhythmia. So those are words of caution where I'm getting at. Let's just get back to a little review because the diet is so important. And let's talk about our macros again. We've touched on these before. And we'll just use me as an example because I'm pretty simple the way my makeup is. So I'm around 200 pounds and around 10% body fat now. I need to get down to 5% in about 8 weeks for a contest. I want to keep my weight fairly decent so that I don't lose muscle. So my protein intake needs to be high, but I want to lose fat. And we do that through carbohydrate restriction is really the best way. So a 200-pound person who's bodybuilding, you're lifting weights, you're active, you plug in the numbers into these calculators that are available online, and my total daily energy expenditure is going to be around 3,000 calories. So I need around 3,000 calories to stay even, and that'll be in the form of about 300 grams of protein and 300 grams of carbs, less fats. So how did we do that? 1.5 grams of protein per pound. Again, if I'm 200 pounds, 1.5 grams of protein per pound is 300 grams of protein a day. So I'll divide that up into 6 meals, so that's 50 grams of protein per meal. Same with the carbs throughout most of the year. It's 1.5 grams of carbs per pound. That's 300 grams a day. So if you divide it over 6 meals, it's 50 grams of carbs per meal. It's a lot of food. But when we want to get the body fat down, the carbs come down. It can even come down to 50 grams a day, which is nothing. If you do that for an extended period of time, then you got to deal with things like irritability and being around people and working and not snapping at people. It gets tough. So be aware of these things, but that's really the best way to do it is the carbs coming down. Another thing, just on fluids, water balance. So our body is made. These are inside of the cell and outside of the cell. So we have about 40 liters of water, and 2/3 of that, or about 25 liters, resides within the cell. Cells are bounded by cell membranes. Outside of the cell is the spaces between cells and the space inside of blood vessels. And together, that's going to be about 12 liters of interstitial space and a couple 3 liters in the blood vessel. So this is the space that we're going to talk about. So water will move freely through a membrane like the cell and even out. This is just a law of physics. But as soon as you put a solute on one side of the membrane, so the solute, or it's like salt or glucose or proteins, there's non-electrolyte and electrolyte type. The strongest are the electrolytes. So these, like let's take sodium, it cannot cross the cell membrane without being pumped. So the sodium will stay here and the water will go towards the sodium. So you see how the water level rises. So the same thing goes on with our cells. Our cells can fill up with water if there's a bunch of sodium here. But if the sodium's out here, the water will leave the cell and go to where the sodium is. So the point of this is glucose can also act like that, sodium. So people start restricting water to get dehydrated, but then they'll do this big carb up, like 1,000 grams of carbs a day for a couple of days. That's a huge. So carbohydrates. You're gonna retain water when you do that. The idea is that you bring these carbs in to fill the muscles, and you get big swollen muscles on stage. The reality is you're going to retain a lot of water with that, so then people take diuretics to pee it off. And 37 trillion cells have a lot of things going on in our body, and I just want to show you this just so you get the concept. The number of hormones and systems involved in electrolyte and water management is enormous. The liver, the lungs, the kidneys, the adrenal glands, the brain all produce hormones to regulate our blood pressure, to regulate our water intake and balance, to regulate our sodium. This is a complex array. The body needs time to adjust. So this concept of homeostasis, slow movements. Prepare for a show slowly. Be ready 2 weeks before so you don't have to carb up and diuretic. You want to be ready. So all you got to do is do small tweaks. Just tweak your carbs, bring your fluids down, but don't stop them. That's the way to get ready in my mind. That's the safest way. The other thing about diuretics is that they poison the sodium potassium pump more in the kidney. So the idea is that to get rid of the water, that's how diuretics work. They stop the sodium potassium pump. So you're going to lose a lot of potassium unless you take a potassium sparing diuretic. But the point is, there's also sodium potassium pumps in nerves and muscles, and these get affected. So you'll see people feeling lousy. They can't squeeze the muscles on stage after taking diuretics. There's no need for that. It's unhealthy. So that's really what I wanted to get at. So you can, you know, concentrate on your macros. You got to lift hard, and you got to do a lot of cardio. You got to be burning energy. Bring the carbs down. You're going to feel depleted. Muscles will get depleted of glycogen and water as you go pre-contest. And people do cheat days and refeeds to regain energy. As the carbs come down, you're going to lose energy. We've already discussed that in the past, how glucose is our main energy source. But that's how we lose fat. When the glucose is down, the fat starts getting burned. We've discussed that before. So in future videos, we'll have Yaxini show how to prepare the meals and how to do this in a practical sense. She's getting ready for a contest too, so we can go through her routine. So this won't all be me. All right, but hope this helps. And